Guys, welcome back to episode 4 of the Emmaus Rd Youth Podcast. We have Hannah here, we have Emmanuel, we have Joe, my name's Joel. We're all a part of Emmaus Road in Surrey and Hampshire. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. Quick, imagine. It's 10:30pm at night and you're feeling peckish for a bowl of cereal. What is your go-to? Go!
Chocolate mini Weetabix.
Joe.
Choco shells.
Emmanuel.
The pillows with the chocolate inside.
Craig.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a golden nuggets type of guy. Tell us, what is your 10:30pm at night bowl of cereal of choice? Nothing better than a late night bowl of cereal.
It's true,
Anyway, enough of that. Let's get started. Welcome back to episode 4 of our podcast, guys. It is fabulous to have you with us today. We're going to have some fun today.
Yeah, we are.
Feeling good?
That's the
Joe,
one.
feeling all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Any fun stories from your week?
No.
No?
I had really, really good barbecue food last night.
Nice.
Yeah. Went to
Nice.
a place in Whitley. Had.
I'm going there on Saturday.
It's so good.
The white heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ribs, unreal.
I'm going to get the tray.
Yeah, do it. I'd highly recommend. I don't feel on the tray. The birria tacos.
Ooh.
Maybe one of the best things I've ever eaten.
Oh, wow.
To
There
die
you go.
for.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going there on Saturday. I'm very excited about that. Manuel, any fun stuff? Beat that.
Ben
No, you can't laugh until you've explained it. You have to explain.
Ben only figured out loungewear 2 years ago.
Producer Ben.
Stop. You have to explain why this is funny. So, this is too soon. You have to explain, guys. We're really sorry. We were having a conversation about what were we even having a conversation about? This is literally before we click record. Literally seconds before we
We're having a
click
conversation
record.
about whether or not we should wear pajamas on the podcast.
Yeah, should we wear pajamas on a later episode of the podcast?
For our Christmas special.
For our Christmas special, apparently.
We're really forward thinking.
We figured that might be a really fun idea. And then we had a discussion, I don't know what it was, about slippers.
Yeah.
We nearly wore my slippers today. And then producer Ben just comes out with a statement, I didn't discover tracksuit bottoms until 2 years ago. And so he said he'd been hanging around like in his house in the evening.
He'd come home from school and put on a pair of jeans.
You know what the sad thing about this is?
The
Ben doesn't have a
funniest thing
voice.
is that I don't think Ben's quite getting how wild it is.
See, there might be others that do that. Jeans aren't that uncomfortable.
Well, if you wear jeans at home, there's no shame. We're not here to shame you.
I wear
but
jeans at
It's
home.
funny though.
Just not all the time.
I don't
I
put
can't
jeans
do
on when
that.
I get home.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was the act of putting on the jeans.
Yeah. Shorts in the summer, tracksuit bottoms in the winter.
Yeah.
But Ben made us all laugh. So that's why that's funny. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Never mentioned boot cuts.
Hannah, any fun stories from the week?
I don't know if I can top that. It was really funny.
That's pretty good.
I missed my train to work the other day because I got a rip in my tights and so I just had to
relatable.
drive instead. I had to
Drove to work?
Yeah, I had to go to Sainsbury's to buy
get a new
tights.
pair. Yeah.
And I missed
Nightmare.
my train.
Absolute
It was a
nightmare.
nightmare.
It's a shame.
Nightmare. Well, today we are going to be having some fun. We've got a fun game we're going to play. Hopefully we're going to have some laughs. And then we're going to be talking about the topic of forgiveness today. Something which we've all had to encounter at some point in our lives, but something that is maybe easy for some, but maybe incredibly difficult for others. And so we're going to get to that a little bit later on. But we always kick off with a game. We always kick off with a bit of fun. And what I thought we would do today is, I don't really know how to explain this game or what to call it, but we're going to split into 2 teams. So we've got the red team because of the red sofa and the beige team.
Yeah, beige.
Because of the beige sofa. Is that beige? And one person in the team is going to have some headphones on with a song playing in it, and the other person in the team is going to be reading out some phrases that the other person has to guess what they are, but they obviously can't hear what they are. They can only guess through what like the lip syncing, right? So we're going to see what hilarity ensues based on the guesses that some of the team members come out with. So Ben's going to bring in the headphones and the phone, which has got the list on it.
Benny's wearing
Thanks, Ben.
jeans as well.
Ben in his jeans.
Can I just say, I think we should be the gold team.
The gold
Yeah,
team. Yeah, I like
gold.
that. Yeah.
Gold.
That's it.
That's good.
Always believe
That's
in
good. I like that.
yourself.
So, Hannah and myself, we're a team. We're going to go first to show you how it's done.
Right,
And then we're going to pass it on to you guys. So, I'm going to get the words up.
can't even get the
My
headphones
list
on.
of
It's true, that's a great start.
phrases.
Look at this. Here we
Right.
go.
Oh, good song.
Yeah, good song.
Well, what song is it?
Can you, you'll hear it in a minute.
Oh,
Can you hear
suspense.
anything I'm saying right now?
Yeah.
You can hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
Turn
turn it up
up
then.
light.
What about now? Can you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can.
Oh,
Just say no.
Just
for
say
the sake of the
no.
game.
it's true.
For the sake of the game, just say no. You can hear what I'm saying.
I don't know if I'm. No, I can't hear it. I can't.
Take your glasses off. It'll break the seal of the
Yeah,
headphones.
that's it. Get the full,
Then I
the
can't
full
read your
sound.
mind.
There we go.
True. So you can hear what I'm saying right now. Oh,
Just squeeze the
So I
headphones
tell you
in.
what, maybe Emmanuel, you read for. Can you hear what Emmanuel is saying if he reads quietly?
Joel, you start the... Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Can
Right,
you
okay.
can you hear what Emmanuel says if he
This
reads?
is a test. Can you hear what I'm saying?
You got to say
No,
it a
I
bit
can't
loud.
hear. But
You got to
also
say it a bit
can't-
louder than that.
I can't see your mouth because
Can you hear what I'm saying now? If it's all like this.
I don't know if I'm just reading his lips.
Go on. If you can.
I can't hear what you're saying.
You can't hear what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
Say it loud and Ben will boost the volume.
Yeah, we'll see this. Am I reading the full thing?
Yeah. So no, you're reading the top 6, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is that the way this game's going to work, because Hannah can't hear it.
I actually don't know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
great.
at all.
The way this is going to work is there's 6 words. It's like phrases, and Emmanuel has to read them out. Hannah has to guess what they are, and the time that it takes you to get through all 6 is the time that you guys get as a team. And then me and Joel will take over, and if we can do our 6 words faster, we win. So we'll put a timer on the screen.
I don't
Are you
think
ready?
she can hear you because she looks so confused.
I actually
Yeah,
can't
it's
hear
true.
it
Great.
really.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So timer on the screen
Here we
now.
go.
Ready, set, go.
Don't lick the windows.
How many times can he mouth it?
As many times as you want. Just keep saying.
Don't lick the windows.
I feel like together is in there.
Keep saying it.
Love the confidence. Don't lick the windows.
Sorry, I missed that time.
Don't lick the windows.
Say it slower.
That's it. Do you want to know what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Show together we love. That's not a sentence.
Perfect. Yeah.
What do you think it is? Say
Should
again.
we- don't lick the windows.
Joe likes the windows.
There we go.
Move on.
Move on. Here we go. I appreciate your work.
Oh.
I appreciate your work.
I appreciate.
Your work.
So good. Just the last
I
bit again.
appreciate your work.
Some work.
That's
your
good.
work.
Yeah, that'll
Move
do.
on.
Yeah, good.
Just drink more coffee.
Do you need more coffee?
We'll take that.
Yeah,
we'll
go
take
on.
that. Let's do this now. Let's do this now.
Let's do this now.
Hey, first one 100%
You're
right.
a great friend.
Aww.
I'm a great friend.
There
You're a
you
great
go.
friend.
Just claim it for
Try
herself.
something new today. Try something new today.
Go again.
Try something new today.
Try
Something new today.
something new today.
There we go.
Yes.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
Let's keep it real.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
Sorry, I'm not even looking at you.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
There we go. Well done. Timer off. There we go. Well done.
That was
Brilliant.
an experience.
You're almost there.
The funniest thing about that is your volume went up about 50%. You're shouting. It's just so good.
So sorry. So
right,
sorry to
good.
everyone's ears.
Joe, it's me and you now, dude. I don't know how long that was, but 1 minute 56 seconds.
Here we go.
This is going to be over.
Okay, are you ready,
go.
Joe?
Can you hear it?
Can you hear the song?
I've never heard this song. Oh, I can't even hear my own voice. This is horrible.
Do you not understand why I was shouting?
Can you hear the
I
song?
do not know this song. I can hear the music. I can't really hear you.
Okay, that's good. So can you
I can't hear
attempt?
you at all.
What do you think I'm saying right now?
I have no idea what it's
I'm looking
like.
down the camera. What does he think I'm saying right now? That's down the camera. All right, you ready? Okay, Timer on. Here it goes. Ben's going to click it as soon as Emmanuel, say go for us.
When
say
do I
ready, set, go.
start?
3, 2,
In a minute.
Okay.
Go.
Here we go. You deserve a holiday.
You. Say again.
You deserve a holiday.
You deserve
A holiday.
a holiday.
Yes! You are not alone.
You are not in love.
You are not alone.
Alone.
Yes.
You're not alone.
Have an awesome day.
Say that again.
Have an awesome day.
Have an awesome day.
Yes, come on. Stay nice,
that's
not
correct.
rude.
Cold ice is rude.
Stay nice, not rude.
Stay nice, not rude.
Yes, come on. What could go wrong?
What? Say again.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
That's it, come on. This too shall pass.
One more time.
This too
This-
shall pass.
This too
Shall pass.
shall pass. This too
Yes!
shall pass.
Come on, that's all of them.
That was very
That's got to be it.
That's got to be quick.
1 3,
Well
yes!
done.
Come on!
Oh,
Winner,
dear
winner.
me.
Well done, team.
That's quite overwhelming.
That's what I know what you listen.
I
You know
really want to have
what my issue was? I just kept looking away.
I really want to have a. I really want to have a go with the headphones on, but I
we
came
go.
up with a game, so got no
Well, we've got to do
phrases.
one quick one, though.
Yeah.
We'll do one quick one.
One
Yeah.
quick one for you.
Yeah, go
For
on.
me?
Yeah.
We'll say a phrase each. We'll just
Yeah,
pick a phrase
phrase
each.
Okay, all right.
We don't need to time it for this, I don't think. This is just for fun.
This is a little bonus round.
This is just purely because I fancy it.
Bang the tunes
Have we
out.
broken the headphones?
Oh, here we go.
And then
I know
twist it around.
they're really
And then-
fancy.
Welcome to this week's episode where we spend 40 minutes.
How to use headphones.
Guys,
Here we go.
guys, can I
This
say
is a bit
Scottish
overwhelming.
phrase?
Who's going first?
Can I say a Scottish phrase?
Yeah. That's just going to be brilliant. Here we go.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Right.
Manuel, you go first.
You go first.
Boys get sad too.
Pay attention.
Boys get sad too.
Point.
John's really bad at this. Oh, wow. Boys get sad.
Boys get sad
There
too.
we go.
Yes, come
For
on.
anyone who's confused, that's the brand of Joel's hoodie.
Who's next?
No, Hannah, you go next.
You've got something in your ear.
I'm dreaming.
You've got something in your ear. Right, I'll try again. You got something in your ear.
This is never
You
gonna
have
do.
bopping along
screwed
to the
him
song,
right over here.
I know. Can I tell him? You go first.
Yeah.
no,
What was it?
switch
Say
over.
again. Say
Oh,
again.
God.
You got something in your ear.
Even the second word, you're not even pronouncing it
brilliant.
I
properly.
literally have no idea.
Okay,
All right,
come here,
we'll
come
move
here.
on. Go on then.
I like the smell of farts.
I'm not saying it for the real. I'm not saying it for the real.
Oh, I really was trying to try.
Joe likes the smell of farts. That's it. That's it. Oh, that was such a vibe.
So I was like to them, shall I just do a Scottish phrase? So that
Oh,
you would
is
get
that what you
it.
did?
So yeah. I was like, you've got something in your ear.
In your
which
ear.
is,
That means
I've got
your eye.
something in your eye.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see. I
There we go.
know.
You weren't even saying something.
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 I would
on.
never have got that.
Yeah, I knew.
Wow. Okay. Well, there we go. That's enough calamity for. That was really overwhelming.
There you go.
I was really enjoying this. The headphones are really good headphones. What brand are these, Ben?
we allowed
Audio
product
Technica. They're good headphones. Should we ditch these out of
Yeah, get me
shot.
out of action.
because we don't need these anymore? Are you hoping I'm going to throw these to you? Ready? Here we go.
Oi.
Come on. There we go.
Good hands.
Cool. So today, apart from having a load of fun, I thought that we'd talk about this topic of forgiveness, right? And so I figured, what a great place to start than the Bible. So I'm just going to read some verses out, and then as a little bit different today, I've kind of got like a little 2-minute thought on forgiveness, kind of like some of my thoughts, and then I'm going to throw it to you guys with some questions, and we're going to talk about this topic. Okay, so the Bible verse I have is found in Colossians 3, verse 13 to 14. It says this: make allowance for each other's faults. Forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Above all, clothe yourself with love, which binds us together in perfect harmony. So it's no secret. The Bible doesn't make it a secret that forgiveness is something that's important to the Lord. And this idea of forgiveness, this thing that we're called to do, is something that we've all come into contact, right? I'm sure as we're thinking and as we're thinking at home, you can think of times in your life where someone has like wronged you, or someone's hurt you, or someone has done something to you which has caused you pain. Right, or has really upset you. Whether we need forgiveness from someone else because we might have been someone who's wronged someone else, or we need to forgive others. And I'm sure it's full of a bunch of positive and negative memories associated with this word. Times when actually forgiveness has brought around healing in our lives and in our relationships, and also real negative emotions associated where actually it's caused a lot of pain and there's like an inability, or we're unable to forgive just because the pain is too great. So I think it's really interesting that God asks us to forgive people. Like, it's something that he's asked us to do. And the reason he asks us to do it is because it's something that he has done for us, right? Jesus died on the cross for us, to forgive us for all of the wrong things that we've done to him. Right, we believe that, like on Easter, on Good Friday and around Easter, we celebrate the death and the resurrection of Jesus. He died to take the consequence of the things and places where we've messed up in the past, right? And it talks about the fact that if we confess and we say sorry for the things that we've done wrong, he is faithful and just and will forgive us of all of those things, right? It also says somewhere else in the Bible that as far as the east is from the west, so far he has removed those transgressions from us. And what it simply means is like there is no distance too great that he can't separate us from the wrong things that we do. Like, he loves us so much that he just separates us from those wrong things. Actually, he forgives us so much. East, like as far as east is from the west, is like the furthest distance you can go. And so, you know, the question is, why does God forgive us? Right? Why does he forgive us? Well, really simply, it's because he loves us. He loves everyone. He created us. He created everyone listening. He created everyone in existence. And God wants to have a relationship with us. He doesn't want to let the wrong things that we do, the ways which we cause him hurt, the ways which we hurt one another, stand in the way of relationship with him. So he chooses, and he does, forgive us. And so then he asks us to do the same. And like, I think about what the alternative version, like the alternative of forgiveness, right, is unforgiveness. And when we think about the effect that that can have on our lives, holding grudges, holding resentment towards other people, to the wrong things that are towards other people, actually that can cause a load of pain as well, right? Do you know the word resent means to like relive something? Wow. And so like if we hold resentment, actually we're reliving that pain. So by holding on to that resentment, we're reliving something that's caused us pain. And that can't be healthy for our hearts, right? That can't be good for us. There's this famous quote that says, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Right? It's like harming ourselves and waiting for that to have an effect. And actually, it has a bigger effect on us than it does for others. And I think that's true. It might not be something that we feel like in the moment, or it might not be like pain we feel immediately, but actually it does come back to haunt us and to cause us pain. And so we read the Bible and we're like, okay, forgiveness is this thing that we're being asked to do. It's a good thing, it's a holy thing, but it's a really hard thing, right? Yeah. There's so much nuance and there's so much complexity around when is it appropriate, when is it right to forgive, when should we just forgive someone even when we don't feel it, and actually when do we need to talk with others and to work through some of the pain that we have, right? And so hopefully today we're just going to just highlight just how difficult it is. We're going to talk about some of our experiences, and hopefully we can all move into a space where we feel like we can reach out and forgive those who might have wronged us, but also we can ask for forgiveness for places we have wronged other people. And so I thought I'd start with a bit of a fun question. Right, a bit of a fun question. So when I was a kid, right, I was like the goody two-shoes of my family. I never did anything wrong. Right, my parents always said about my older sister that she was the girl who got into trouble and always got caught. My little sister was the girl who got into trouble but never got caught, and I was the kid who never got into trouble.
Middle child, though.
Middle child.
I feel that.
Yeah. That's it.
Middle childs were meant to be like the rebellious ones.
No, I was just really, really good. But I remember this time where I was hanging out. Great. It's good. I remember this time where I was hanging out with my cousin, right, and we went to McDonald's. Got like a Happy Meal each, and they gave out these little soft like soft toys, right? And so I was like old enough that I still ate Happy Meal, but definitely young enough that I still ate Happy Meal, but old enough that the toy was not interesting to me at all. So me and my cousin thought it'd be this really great idea. We're like, how funny would it be? Like, this would be hilarious if we just threw it on the roof of the Sainsbury's opposite McDonald's.
Like, what rebel?
So we were like, oh, I don't know about this. Is big time. This is. And so we went and we like launched these little teddies onto the roof of this Sainsbury's, right? Which was fun for about 4 seconds because then we didn't have the teddies anymore. And I felt so guilty after it. I mean, I must have been 7, right? I was 8 maybe. I felt so guilty. I felt for sure that the police were coming for me. I was like, that's vandalism, littering. It's probably breaking and entering because I've broken something, like, and I could get into. I was for sure that I was like, I'm in so much trouble. I have like the people who own this Sainsbury's are at real cost, real loss now, and I couldn't get over it. And I was like, I needed some sort of forgiveness from this moment, and nothing ever came of that. The police didn't come for me. My parents never found out. My parents never found out. I don't think I've even told Tandia this story. It's just such an insignificant part of my life. But like, I felt for the life of me that I'd been like, I felt so guilty after that moment. But it turns out it was just funny. So have you got like funny stories like that, just to kick things off? Anyone?
So I love a little prank and I love a little joke, especially on April Fool's Day. Like, I'm the person that will try like have a little prank on April Fool's, and I'd been successful the year before. It's always my parents, and then I was at uni, and I had been there since September, really enjoying it. I sent my mum a text saying, I'm really sorry, I was too scared to tell you, but I'm actually having a really tough time and I really don't want to like continue with uni. I've been really struggling. And then, so I texted her this, thinking it was really funny. She called me nearly crying.
Wait. So you said that this is a joke?
Yeah, it was April Fool's Day. It was the first of April. So I was like, oh, this is really funny. She'll understand, because the year before I texted her saying I'd accidentally rejected all my uni offers. So I was like, oh, she'll know. No, she called me like nearly in tears, being like, how have I not noticed this?
Wow.
How have I not known? I felt so bad. I was like, oh, sorry, Mum, it was just a joke. Haha.
That was
Did you laugh about it?
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Wow, that's so good.
10
That's
years
just
later,
reminded me of
yeah.
like so many fun like pranks I've played on people. But that's stories for another day. What
Yeah,
you guys?
that's
Got any
it.
fun stories like that?
I do. Before I share, just want to say, offer your one. Like, why is it that just cousins are just always the people who do the worst things? There's just something about being with your cousins.
Who knows?
You know, the wildest things.
Shout out to cousins.
Love my cousins. But my story actually, now doesn't involve my cousins, which feels silly. But this was not a proud moment of mine, and I do not think this is exemplary behaviour. But when I was maybe 8 or 9, so I was in like year 5, I think, of school, we had a project where we were having to bring in cardboard boxes and then as a team of like 3 or 4 build like the best and the biggest robot out of the cardboard boxes. It's one of those things you do in primary school that you're like, what did they teach us?
Scrap
like,
heap challenge.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so we're making these things.
Teamwork, that's what they're teaching you.
Yeah, it's true. Engineering.
Using your resources.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, so
Initiative.
school is great. But I was building this robot, and one thing that my team forgot to really think about is any sort of adhesive materials to stick it together. But there was someone in the class, a girl called Chanel, who had double-sided tape.
Come on,
right?
Chanel.
Which is, you just got to know, that's the greatest adhesive device for making a cardboard robot. It's just double-sided tape.
Did she bring that in herself?
Yeah, she was prepared. Credit to her.
For the challenge, or?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just
No, she just carried it around.
Double
That's what I was
tape.
asking.
Fair play, Chanel.
She brought in this double-sided tape, and thing is, she had a bit of a crush on me, and I knew this.
That's why he's telling this
here
story.
we
And
go.
so, hold up, no, wait.
Yeah, there
this
it
is not a
is.
proud moment of mine. She said to me, if you go out with me, I'll give you my double-sided tape.
What?
And I was like, this is like an ultimatum. So I
didn't?
said yes.
No.
And I
And
took
then-
the tape.
Oh,
and I
just
built
for
the
the
robot.
tape?
And then I dumped her after I built my robot.
Oh,
Joe Merry.
I'm ashamed, guys. I was 8 years old. I didn't know what I was doing.
Like, that's class. I think that's so funny.
That's not okay, Joe.
It's not okay, guys. It's not okay. Never
You got
use a
caught in the
relationship.
heat of the moment. He's like, I want this.
I just really wanted to win the
did you?
competition. I don't remember.
Oh no,
That is
Sorry,
so
guys. Leaving
bad.
everyone in
that's
suspense.
juicy.
It was bad. It was
Wow.
bad. So sorry, Chanel. I don't know her anymore.
Oh,
I haven't
mate.
spoken to her in
Say
like
this to her.
15 years, but
That is atrocious.
That's savage.
it was a low
That's
moment.
savage.
I'm not proud of it.
Mine's super quick. Again, it's always just like parents or like family. I decided it was funny when I was younger. I can't remember how old was it. I decided to hide from my parents. Well, that's why.
Where were you?
So I hid. So we had.
You were just at home?
Yeah, I hid in the house. And this was,
like
you know,
easy
for
story.
context, this got up to the point she was going to ring the police out. And at that point, I thought this is not a funny
How long
game
were you
anymore.
away?
Yeah. So basically, you know when you took a chair into a dining room table and there's that space between, I slotted
elite.
myself in there.
Elite hide and seek spot.
That's it. So
Yeah.
I was just sat, I was lying there, and I could hear my mum shouting me. I could hear it, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious.
ludicrous.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't know what came upon me, but I thought it was funny. So she was like, no, she was going round to my friends, going, "Oh, it's Manuel here." She was like, "No."
She was visiting other people.
She was like, "Oh, he could be here," but then I could hear them talking. I was like, "Oh, we're literally gonna have to ring the police. I have no idea where he is." And at
She
that
knew.
point,
She knew. She's like, I know where he is. I'm going to flush him out. See
How
how
do you imagine genius? Oh, I feel like in my head I'm like, oh, really? Was it that long?
yeah,
Like,
it was a while because
How
literally
long we
because I
talking?
could. It was probably 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like a couple of hours.
no
the
offense to
thing
mum,
that-
but that's pretty dramatic.
No, but the thing that made her go to the ringing the police was because she'd exhausted all options. Because I didn't really go out much, so she was like, "Well, he's either at Brandon's house or he's either here. There's nowhere else he could be."
yeah.
And she was like, "They walk around like he's not playing out on his own because he's only allowed to go to this bit." Like they're like, "What do we do?" So she was like ringing the police. I was like, at that
Wow.
point, now I've got to
Game
come
over.
out because I'm in big
What was her
trouble.
reaction when you showed
She
up?
wasn't happy.
Like, surprise.
Yeah, no, she didn't laugh about it. She was just like,
Game
yeah,
over.
It's a great hide and speak.
But I'm here to tell the
There
story,
we go.
guys.
He's here.
you
Well, there we
know,
go.
you know.
There you go. Some like funny little stories of like when we were kids. Hopefully, our parents, Sainsbury's,
Yeah.
Chanel, like can forgive us for these things. But like
remember it.
they're like these, you know, they're funny little moments and we can laugh about. But we know that this topic, like of forgiveness, goes a lot deeper than that. Right? I'm sure that as people are listening, that they're reflecting, they've got so many moments or like places or people that have caused pain. And so have you got any stories about like what is your interaction with forgiveness? Like have you got any stories where you've had to forgive someone and it's been really hard, or is there like a time when you sought forgiveness from someone and like how did you feel like in that moment? Have you got any stories like that just to help people understand like some of the complexities and nuances that come with this topic?
Wow. I think to like just jump in there really simply and really quickly, I probably have to do a little bit of this on a daily basis with my wife, with
Wow.
someone I'm in close
Yeah.
proximity with, or also her with me. But you know, most people listening to this probably won't have a wife, but people that are really close to you in a sort of circle, as it were.
I guess that could be like your parents or your siblings, right? Just
Exactly.
people you
Yeah,
live with.
exactly that. You know, we annoy each other. We say some stuff that's, you know, not necessarily nice sometimes, or, you know, we act in a certain way that's not really best. And so you've constantly got to be in a process of, I forgive you. So, but yeah, that's probably like my direct kind of
Immediate sort
immediate
of
one to get into.
instance.
I think for me, like on a maybe like bigger picture, like not the day-to-day stuff, but like the more like bigger moments where like feel like people have really hurt you. Like I think what I've learned in a few different experiences of that is just like there's such a process, and you can like get to a point where you like think you've forgiven them, and then even a year or two down the line something can come up and you're like, oh, I am still holding a bit of like resentment or like a judgment against them, and there's like another thing of like, oh, I've just got to keep laying it down and like keep and I think something that I remember learning a few years ago that like really reframed my perspective on forgiveness was that to like actually really forgive someone starts with you have to really admit that they've done something wrong, and it's not just like excusing the behavior. So like, for example, I think one of the most common ones is like our friends or our family, like the people that are close to us. They do something that hurts us and it annoys us, but we're like, oh, like they didn't mean it, or like, oh, they were just joking, or like, but actually to then just like write off what they've done because you're like, oh, it wasn't on purpose, or they had a lot going on and they were having a hard time and so they like acted out of anger. Like, it's really good to be understanding of people's perspectives, but like to just write off the hurt, I don't think is the same as like actually forgiving someone. And I think it's an important part of the process, but I think, and so I remember learning that and being like, oh yeah, I thought I'd forgiven someone, and then actually been like, oh, I don't think I had. I'd just like excused their behaviour. And so I think that was a big learning point for me, probably 3 or 4 years ago, around how do I process forgiveness? And I think I've had to do that with loads of people, with family, with church, with relationships, friends, like.
And it's harder to do it with people that you're more close.
Yeah, I think the closer you are to someone, the harder it can be to admit that they've hurt you.
And I think actually for me, that's really challenging because my natural personality is like, well, I won't deal with the situation, I'm fine. I don't need to confront it because it's not that big deal. But then I watch myself like draw away from a relationship rather than be like, this could be a really helpful conversation that could strengthen the relationship if I choose to
that poison quote, isn't it?
forgive.
Not forgiving actually, it takes away and like it's a detriment to like your
Yeah. And in my head, it's not unforgiveness. It's, oh well, I'll just back away or I'll just step away rather than being like, no, actually that person's important enough that they need to know what they've done has been hurtful, or like I've viewed it as hurtful, to help them in relationship and to help me in relationship. Like we both need that conversation to happen.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting that like a few things that have come up there, like having difficult conversations, like having forgiveness is a difficult conversation almost, but also like the journey of like being forgiven and forgiving other people with like the wrongs that we see in our world. I think are two really helpful things just to remember that at play here. Like I'm someone who, when there's conflict, if I've wronged someone, right, or if I've like hurt somebody, I like need to deal with it like straight away. So I need to get forgiveness really quickly so I can feel better about myself. Right? So I need to feel better because I recognise what I've done. I've really upset this person, so I want to like, have that conversation really quickly. When I'm someone who's been wronged or I'm hurt, like I'm way more like back away, like don't do it. So I'm two different people depending on what side of the coin I'm on, right?
True.
But I think it's really interesting that if we hurt someone, we need to let them have the journey that you're talking about of like actually coming to this with like admitting, do you know what, they're hurt and they've been hurting for what I've done, and I can't just expect them to like be on the same page as me straight away because that's where I'm at. Actually, like we're all different people, and we need to remember that like forgiveness is a process. Forgiveness is something that is different for everybody. And I've like got numerous times in my life where I've upset someone, and I've had to allow them space to then come and like talk to me. I remember I really upset my brother-in-law once, like a long time ago, and like then he upset me, and like we were at each other for like, this is before he was my brother-in-law. He was like dating my sister at the time, and like we'd really upset one another, and I remember it was like days like where like we didn't speak to one another, like it was a few days, which isn't long in the grand scheme of things, but we were like best mates. It was like days where we didn't speak to one another, and like we had to like let that happen a little bit, and then like we started to be together in the same place again. We started to hang out together, and actually that was a journey which we both went on separately, and then like could have that conversation. But it's not like an instant thing, is it? It's something that takes it takes time, right?
It does. It does.
Yeah. So, is there any like particular Bible verses or passages? Like we've read one out in Colossians, but can you think of any stories which have helped you like sort of understand what like this idea of forgiveness like really means? I'll give you a second just to like compose and think of one in this moment. But like, what are some of the stories that come to mind when you read the Bible? Like, oh wow, this is either a really positive story of where someone's forgiven someone, it's led to like really great things, or actually, you know, the opposite. Like, where is it not displayed well? Like, where do we see the outcomes and the repercussions of that?
I think mine is about God's forgiveness, which is, so when Abraham and Sarah and God gives them the promise that they would have descendants, but they were obviously a lot older, and then Sarah tells Abraham to have a child with their servant Hagar. And it's like, despite them doing that, and despite them, going against God's will for them, God still like used that situation for good, and they still had children and many descendants. But I think it was also because they took it into their own control and their own plan. There was a lot of hurt in that, and Sarah became bitter towards Abraham, but they caused that situation. But God still redeemed that situation, fulfilled His promise. And I think so often we try to take control of situations, which then leads to hurt elsewhere because we're not good at relationship without God. So I think, that's just like the beauty of God, that He will still redeem our stories, and He will still keep His promises even when we go against what He wants.
Yeah, that's really good. Thanks. What about you guys?
Sorry, I just thought really just again simple quick thought, just the idea of like God still being gracious to us even when we've wronged Him or even when we've done wrong. Just that thought for me. Because when you ask me a question, I just think just think about like Jesus and how He's forgiven us, and Him dying on the cross, and I just think, God, I make mistakes, but yet You're still willing to love me, and You're still willing to just be so gracious and kind towards me, and I'm like, I find that wow, that's overwhelming, but how much so? What an example that is for me to follow in life. If I've got to hold similar, if not the same level of grace for other people. I find that challenging.
I think two quick ones for me is one, the interaction between Jesus and Peter when Jesus is like, you'll deny me 3 times. He's like, no, I won't. And then he does, and there's the whole thing of he's like, I do not know Jesus, and then the rooster crows, and it's like, oh man, I've done exactly what Jesus said, and I've like let Him down, I've denied Him, I've betrayed Him. And then there being this moment when Jesus is resurrected again, where they're having breakfast and eating fish by a lake, which I just think is an awesome moment in the Bible. But is then where Jesus like basically undoes, like there's the whole I can't remember the exact phrase that He says, but like the 3 times where it's like essentially that Peter gets a chance to like redeem himself.
Do you love me? Is that right?
Yeah. Do you love me? And Peter's like, of course I do. And Peter's just sat there being like confused, like why you keep asking me the same question. But actually, like it's Jesus sort of like fully redeeming the moment of his like betrayal, and where he actually really hurt Jesus, and then Jesus' grace and forgiveness gave Peter the opportunity to like redeem himself. And I think there's such beauty in that, this isn't applicable to every situation, but I think often when we've been hurt, we don't really want to give the other person necessarily a chance to make it up to us. Like often we're like, I don't really want you to, if you're annoyed at something, I don't really want to talk to you. Like I don't really want you to redeem the situation, but actually not only forgiving them, but then in grace, like, and that obviously depends on the relationship as to if you can do that. But then the other story quick is in the Old Testament with Joseph, when his story.
Good to tell a story. Go for it.
That's his namesake.
If I butcher it, you can take it. I actually love the story of Joseph. It's like a real favourite of mine. But when his brothers like fully betray him, sell him out, tell his dad that he's died, like brutal. Like talk about brotherly like beef. You're like, this is to the extreme. But then like years later, you get the whole story of Joseph. I won't recall the whole thing, but Joseph ends up in this position of real power in the nation, and his brothers coming to him basically like begging him, like not even really knowing it's him, but like begging him for help. And like in that moment there's such opportunity for him to use his found position of authority to like hold on to the bitterness, and particularly with like everything that happened to him, because he got sold out into slavery, but then so many things happened that just got worse and worse before it started getting better again. And he had like every opportunity to hold that against his brothers, because they hadn't said sorry, they hadn't apologized because they didn't know it was him. But then he still chose to be merciful, and like it's that's obviously a real overview of the story. But just that was, I think, really inspiring. Because I think it being people forgiving people feels like a thing that is, I guess it's like a different thing to God forgiving people. Of like sometimes I'm like, oh, it's God. Like it must be really easy for Him to forgive us. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but when it's like, oh, actually Joseph was a man, it feels like a bit more like this is, if Joseph could do it, then I could probably figure it out.
Yeah, man. Think about how long that journey was for Joseph.
Yeah, it's like a lifetime.
Yeah,
Years.
like it's absolutely ages. That was one thing I was going to draw about. It's like it took him his whole life to get to that point. And I wondered if in the moment, like when he saw his brothers again for the first time, I wonder what was going through his brain.
Yeah.
One of my another verse that talks about forgiveness is in Matthew 18 verses 21 to 22. So where someone comes up to Jesus, and he asks directly the question: how many times should I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Right, and by brother and sister, he just means the people that he knows. He doesn't literally mean it's like siblings. And then he says up to 7 times, and then Jesus answered, "I tell you not 7 times, but 77 times." And the reason he says 77 times is it's not because that's the limit. Like Jesus is setting up a limit, but the point he's trying to get to is way more than you think is appropriate. Is how many times I'm going to ask you to do it.
It's
So
true.
he's just gone 11 times more. Than what the guy suggested, right? It's way more than you think is appropriate. It's how it's an unending journey of we're constantly called to forgive other people, right? But I don't think anyone here, as we're sitting here and listening, we can talk about this the concept and the value of forgiveness being holy and right and true and proper, and it's something that we all aspire to, but the reality is way more difficult.
Yeah.
So
it is.
I don't really have a question here, but someone just talked to me about what are your thoughts about that? How do we move to a place of unforgiveness to forgiveness? What are some of the nuances that come up when we're thinking about this as leaders and as people who are just trying to live out their lives for Jesus? What are some of the things that can often be difficult when it comes to forgiveness? Just we've got a couple of minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's just open up a conversation about that. How difficult it can be.
Yeah. I think one thing we haven't really touched on as well is self-forgiveness, which is
Wow.
I actually think is maybe even
It's a big one.
harder often than forgiving other people. But I think the thing that, and definitely something that I struggle with more than forgiving others, but I think the thing that I found, whether it's forgiving yourself or forgiving other people, the one thing that, and it doesn't solve the problem, but the one thing that does help every time is just, and we've chatted about this vaguely in other episodes about just the importance of community and people around you, and just for me finding a safe person who you can just be 100% honest and not trying to filter oh, is this kind or is this not, because being kind is really important, but finding a safe place, finding a leader, maybe it's your youth leader, maybe a small group leader or collective leader, or it could be a trusted friend, and just being so honest about how you're feeling and just getting out. Because I think if we hold stuff in, it only just gets worse, and bitterness just keeps building. But there's something about and some people call it a spiritual discipline of confession, of just particularly when you're the one that needs forgiveness, of just confessing what it is that you've done wrong, but also when you've been hurt and you're trying to forgive someone and you're struggling, just saying it out loud is really, I think, really helpful. And so finding the right person to do that with is important, but I think it's something that, and again, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't immediately make the anger go away, but it just, you carry the burden with someone else. You get to share the load, and I think that's can be really significant.
Yeah, one of the pictures of forgiveness that I was always taught when I was in Sunday school was this idea of imagine you're walking up a hill, right, and you've got a backpack on, but the backpack's empty, right, and then you get halfway up the hill and then you fill it with bricks. How much harder is it to walk up the hill?
Yeah.
This idea that unforgiveness is trying to walk up a hill with a backpack full of bricks. I love what you're saying there. Is sharing the burden with someone is a really great starting point. You're walking up a hill full of bricks.
Still got a hill to walk up.
Give some bricks to someone else and who can carry it. Not everyone is appropriate to carry those, but there are parents, siblings and youth leaders as well who can do that and can help us carry that burden and advise us and help us get up the hill. What you guys, any thoughts?
And something real quick again to just add is when I'm thinking about the process of forgiveness, something that I've learned in my time is that when particularly forgiving other people, is that your relationship with that person doesn't have to be the same afterwards.
Yeah, you're right.
And sometimes actually go as far as saying it's not probably right for the relationship to stay the same afterwards.
Yeah, not always.
Because I think we have this idea of okay, cool, well, somebody's hurt us about something, and okay, we've forgiven them, but you know, we still need to be best of friends after it. That's not always the case, and actually sometimes that your level of proximity with them either can change or should change.
Yeah. Sometimes forgive and forget isn't the appropriate response.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And forgiveness and reconciliation are actually two different things.
That's it.
Like you can
Bang.
forgive someone
Yeah.
without having the relationship going back to the same place that it was
that's
before.
it. And I think sometimes that can be part of the forgiveness process of going, actually, we've had this, and I feel as though it's right for me at this time that our relationship changes. Maybe we don't talk as often as we do, or the way we hang out is different from what we used to have before. Or maybe it's none of those at all, and we both recognise that maybe for now we just need to kind of park whatever this is that we had. And in years down the line, you might revisit. It might be right again to go, all right, actually, let's hang out again in that same way. Or do you know what I mean? Or times might change. But that's one thing I've learned is that, particularly with forgiving people, the process of reconciliation is different.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think there'll be people out there that feel like someone, or the reality is someone could have hurt them so deeply, or the situations that definitely shouldn't have happened to you because of someone, or it's been so repeated that that person's hurt you again and again that you can't see forgiveness as an option. Like you can't
That's good, Hannah.
view that as a possibility. And I know it sounds so simple because it's not, and it's not. I don't want to take away anyone's reality, but I think just keep going to God and being like, I am really struggling to forgive this person.
Yeah.
I need you to help me in that process. And it can, as we've all talked about, it can be a journey, and that could be a journey of a lifetime. Like, depending on the situation or depending on how you're feeling, that could be a massive journey. But just keep taking it back to God.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Like the journey of a lifetime, I think is a really interesting phrase in that. Like, because I think, I don't know, I always think about when it comes to like living as a Christian, right? So much of it is about like growing and journeying. And I think the important thing is not that we are like getting it right and really far along the journey. It's just that we're taking steps in the right direction. And like someone might be here and someone might be here, but if they're going in two different directions, like where is the real value? Do you know, if someone is like, really mature Christian who's got it right, but is actually holding bitterness and resentment about so many things, but has forgiven one thing, but it feels like they're going backwards on the journey. Does that make sense? Because they won't give something up, but then there's someone who's been incredibly hurt and has got like pain in their life, or like even if it's just small things, but they're choosing to bring them before God, and maybe they're like right at the start of the journey of forgiveness. I'm like, there's like that is so amazing that someone's like willing to like step onto the journey of what like God has for them, step onto the journey of forgiveness, as opposed to someone who might have done it a million times but is now like jumping like off and like choosing like resentment instead of forgiveness. And like I just love that idea of it being like a path that we're walking, and as long as we're moving along the path, that's a really good thing. And like there are steps along that path which may not even look like we're doing very well, like just talking about it with someone, or like bringing it to the Lord in prayer, or like steps along the path of moving towards forgiveness. And we can all go down that road. And I think that's really important to recognize where we're at on that journey, and to be like, oh, I'm not going to jump to the end. I'm going to start where I'm at, and I'm going to I'm going to talk to someone about that. I'm going to tell a teacher about something. I'm going to tell a parent about something that's happened. I'm going to tell a friend about the pain that I'm in. And like that is the next step, and then working out as we go, like, what do I need to do next? What is the Lord inviting me to do next? Maybe, like, to be honest, having a conversation with someone is actually probably quite far down the line. There's probably quite a lot of internal like prayer that we should do, and like thinking about it and reflecting on it and talking with people ourselves. Like that's all the stuff at the beginning. And like, the actual conversation, like, or actually like the decision is probably quite like far down the line. I had some like tips just for people. Like we talked a lot about like some deep stuff, and there's probably a lot of people who are like, they haven't experienced that level of like depth of like pain or wrongdoing, and actually the things that they're thinking of are probably more like, my friend called me a name the other day and like that really hurt my feelings, or do you know what, didn't get invited to a party and that was like really really sad. And like that stuff is really serious too. But I've got some like just 3 really quick tips that I've been thinking about. And so like one thing that you can do is to pray for the person who wronged you.
Oh, that's hard.
It's hard.
That's a big one.
Oh,
It's hard.
ouch.
But even like just saying like, Lord, like I want to bring this person. They've really, telling God like in that moment they've really like hurt me, or even like the other way, like pray for the person who like you're seeking forgiveness from. Like praying for those people. That can be really hard, but it can be a really helpful
I've done
tool.
it before, but a really short, quick prayer.
Short, quick prayer.
A really static prayer.
I think that particularly when it's someone that you've hurt and you're seeking forgiveness for, where it's not appropriate for you to just like keep apologizing or to like start a conversation, but actually I've found often the only thing I feel like I can do in those moments is to just pray for them, and that being such a helpful part of that process.
Another thing that I've found helpful in the past, and I've done this numerous times, is, and we've sort of hinted at it, but like writing stuff down, like getting it out of my head and my heart and getting it onto paper, right? Like putting it right down and then like symbolically like tearing it up or throwing it away, like as a conscious choice to be like, I'm choosing to let this go. I'm choosing not to hold this like grudge anymore. Like that whole like physical symbol of doing that, I think can be really helpful if you feel like that's the stage you're at. And then we've talked about this like loads already today, but like the third thing is like inviting others in to feel the things that you're feeling. Like don't hold things in so much that it starts to affect your mental health and it starts to affect like your relationships with other people. Like inviting others in to talk about it, and that might be your parents, youth leaders, teachers, or maybe even like someone if you need like some sort of professional help. Like that's a really great thing too. I feel like we should just have like a moment of quiet again, and I'm going to pray for us. But I just feel that as we've been talking, I feel like the Lord's just saying to me to remind everybody that if you're someone who is seeking forgiveness from someone for something wrong that you've done and you're feeling guilt, God says he loves you. And if you're someone who has been wronged and is in pain and is hurting and is finding it difficult to forgive someone, God says he loves you. No matter where we are on this journey, no matter what we're feeling, we can rest assured and know that he loves us. And it's that as the foundation for, all of the things that we've been talking about, all the things we're called to do. And actually just this picture of this path, this lifelong journey that Hannah's talked about, isn't a path that we walk alone. But it's a path that like the Lord walks with us on if we draw him into it. And so Lord, wherever we are right now, we just draw you into our reality. We draw you into our lives. We draw you in to feel the pain that we feel. And we know that you know what it's like because you've been there. You died on the cross for us. You know what it means to suffer and to feel things. So we thank you that you're with us. And Lord, we also pray for those of us who have things in our lives that, actually we need to just let things go. We need to forgive people because we've been holding on to things for too long. Would you give us the courage and the strength to forgive those who need to be forgiven? And would you give us the courage and the strength to apologize where we need to apologize? Wherever we are right now, would your spirit come and just be with us in this place? Amen.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast. We are aware that we dealt with a really big topic and there'll be so much more that you might have questions about or so much more we could have covered.
Yeah. I think I'm just so aware that for people, it's almost like a ball of fire that kind of erupts because you're just so, to put it frank, angry at what people have done sometimes or what you've experienced. And I think it's okay for us to process those emotions. We've talked a lot about forgiveness being a process. And so naturally you will have feelings and emotions and things that will come up as part of that. And I think a short, simple thing of saying, just let that flow, let that come out, but process that in the best way we can with God and with trusted people.
Yeah, and I think just last thing to add of that there being a distinction, but also kind of link between forgiveness and justice, and there being this thing about how the call to forgive isn't dependent upon finding justice. Like we're asked to forgive whether someone has said sorry or whether everything's been made right. But actually, there's also a real biblical principle for us to fight for justice, and that being about in like individual personal situations, but also world systems and like systematic stuff and big things. And that hunger for justice is really important and really good. But it's holding that, I guess, in the tension with forgiveness, and that's complex. And definitely process that with someone. Like, don't do that on your own.
So if you've been listening to this and maybe you felt this just quite heavily, or you've got any more questions, or you'd like to just chat with one of the team, we'd love to point you in the direction of people who you can share this with. We talk a lot about sharing stuff, and so we want to make sure that you've got people in your life who you can do that with. And so if you want to reach out to us, please do. Just like youth@emmausrd.com. You'll get through to us as a team, and we'd love to hear from you. But thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.